we have seen past also when things happen, there were forks made, but most of the forks were not successful because they're not backed by a larger community. But with these two forks, is it also kind of sending a message that you're trying to solve a business problem with the licensing solution is not going to work? Or you feel that no, these things will keep happening?
You're quoting old conversations of ours. Yes, a license is not a business model. And that is a constant misunderstanding a lot of VC-funded companies have, where they think that their business has to be driven by the license. And when you talk to, for example, the folks at Percona, I know you talked to Anne earlier, for them, this fundamental idea of we provide services on software that isn't ours, but software that is for the community, by the community, and we then make that more successful for a commercial user. That is at the core of how business around open source should work, and how it works very well for a lot of companies. And Red Hat did a $34 billion exit on a basis of everything that they did until then was open source. And so it's not that you need to suddenly close things down in order to be successful. That's not true. And I really hope that this sends a message. I really hope that a lot more of the VC-funded companies ask themselves, is this really what I want to do? Do I really want to risk that my community that I have suddenly splits? And am I certain that I'm going to keep the larger part of the community, or are over the next 2 years the majority of the users going to migrate away? And what we will see, if you look at things like all the CNCF projects, they will all migrate to Valkey. So Valkey will become the standard in this space. And that is certainly not what the company had in mind.
Now, since we are talking about open source, I also want to talk about the changed geopolitical world we live in. Linux Foundation also did last year, Open Congress was there, and I did a survey around, do you see that, when we look at the whole geopolitical situation, techno-nationalism is growing, where you feel that open source may become a global language to write software so that countries don't have to worry about being locked out just because there is a political conflict?
So I always think that mixing technology and politics is very dangerous, and it's fraught with problems because there are so many good intentions and there are so many people who strongly believe in their cause and who think that they have to make a statement for this side or for that side in the conflict, whereas this is all about human suffering. And to me, what strikes me the most about whether it's the Palestine situation or the Ukraine situation, it's not who is right, who is wrong. It's people are suffering, people are dying, people are losing their livelihoods. Young people are losing their youth, are losing their parents, are losing their homes. It's the suffering that is the problem for me. And I feel bad talking about technology and open source when this feels like a so much bigger problem in the world and something that is so much more important than whether you use the BSD or the GPL. But to honor your question, I think open source software continues to be the fundamental backbone of how technology works these days. It is nearly impossible to build a product without having open source inside. It's much easier to build a product with nothing proprietary inside. And so the fact that software that is available under an open source license is by definition available to anyone in the world is obviously a creating a level playing field, and it is a leveler across all of these conflicts. But I would never want to make this the topic of what I want to talk about when these conflicts are about suffering and about human beings and not about abstract concepts like software.